All right, welcome back to the A to Z challenge. I'm trying to talk about querying now. It's one of the hardest things that we do as writers. We query our stuff. We throw it out into the world and we ask for some sort of validation of our existence. Basically, that's what queries start to sound like if you're not doing a very good job of pitching the story, but you're kind of pitching yourself and you sound kind of crazy. And we're sort of not supposed to talk about it while it's happening, which is terrible because that's when we need to talk about it the most. Um, to be clear, I am not an advocate of actually querying or talking about the querying in the query process, because when you get back one of those rejection letters, you're just a rage monster. You're like, oh my god, I can't believe another. Or worse, you're like, oh, I'm never going to get published. These aren't really pretty emotions, and the internet is forever, so maybe we don't need our crying fits on the internet. But things we really, really don't need on the internet is if you have sort of bad. There's a hummingbird floor right over my head right now. They're upset with me because I'm too close to the feeder, so you can see in the background there. So we're not supposed to call people out. Because, actually, I'm not really sure why. We're really not supposed to call out publishing professionals during the query process. My best guess for this is because you don't know who's friends with whom. Because, I mean, you could be like, oh, well, there was this one agent, and Agent A just absolutely made me so mad. And then there's Agent B who reads your book and kind of loves it. And they come to your blog. It's sort of the last step to see if you're crazy cakes. Crazy cakes, I am. And so they're perusing your blog, and they see that you were really upset with Agent A, who happens to be Agent B's very best friend. And despite, her flagging tastes in books on occasion, can't stand to have somebody talk bad about her because she happens to know that that day Agent A had just had a breakup after she'd already bought the dress. And, her whole family was flying in from Costa Rica or wherever. And, things had just gone, you know, belly up. Belly up. We'll go with belly up because I'm trying to keep it clean here. And, so Agent B knows that Agent A had that horrible, terrible, no good, very bad day and is really upset and defensive about Agent A when they see you talking about Agent A. And, publishing is a small community. They all know each other. So if you badmouth one agent, yeah, there are a bunch of other agents who know exactly who that is. Now, you're just as likely to find people who are like, oh yeah, I've worked with her. She was crazy like that. And don't worry, I'll take you, cute little duckling. But you never know who is in good with whom at the moment. You can have instances where, for instance, somebody has just stabbed somebody else in the back and pretty heinously, and you know nothing about it yet. So even though you'd been meticulously tracking the friendships of agents, yeah, it's going to go poorly for you. So don't name names. Don't call people out. Remember to be nice and to always have as much forgiveness as possible, and we don't need to see you ugly cry over rejections. Now, having said that, we all ugly cry during querying. It's horrible. It's a hard process, and even when it goes stunningly well, it's not pretty. And you have to make big decisions that you feel are changing your whole life, and you are fully unequipped to make those decisions. So I get that. I highly recommend that you join a writers group or a website that has places where publishing professionals are not allowed to go, places that are writers only, so that you can vent. You can go to conferences, meet writers. If you need to vent about your querying process, and we all need to vent about our querying process, do it somewhere where it's not going to be seen. Don't do it on your blog, because your blog is your public, it's the place that people get to go to see about you. So, use that as an opportunity to present your best self there, and try not to talk about how terrible and hard the query process is. Now, The other side of that is when you are published and it is a bestseller, then you get to pull out the cool stuff where you're like, and so said this would never be a book, or 10 agents told me that this was going to be signed within the week, and then never did, and you had to go on to self-publish to millions and millions of copies or whatever. Those are fun stories on the other end. They're not fun when you're in the middle of it, so yeah, querying. It's rough out there. We'll end up talking more about querying, it turns out, as we keep moving on here. I can't believe we're at Q already. Man.